My brother accidentally FaceTimed me while my entire family discussed stealing her inheritance before she finds out. So I recorded 47 minutes and gave it to the lawyer right before the estate meeting. Before we continue, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching this from? Subscribe, say hi, and be part of our growing family. My phone buzzed at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. Royce's name flashed across the screen with a FaceTime request. Strange, since my brother hadn't called me in 3 months, not since Grandma Helen passed. I almost declined. I was exhausted from my nursing shift. But something made me answer. The screen showed Royce's ceiling fan, spinning slowly in dim light. Voices echoed from somewhere below the phone. He'd pocket-dialed me. I was about to hang up when I heard my name. "Karen thinks she's getting everything," Royce said, his voice sharp with contempt. "Grandma was losing it at the end. That will ain't valid." My blood turned cold. I grabbed my AirPods, hands shaking as I plugged them in. My mother's voice cut through, clear as day. "We need to move fast. The estate meeting is Friday. If we can get Royce named executor before then, we can tie everything up in probate for years. She'll give up eventually." "What about the house?" That was my sister Selma. Sweet Selma, who'd texted me crying emojis at the funeral. "The house is worth $340,000 easy. We split it 3 ways, she gets nothing. She wasn't even around when Mama was sick." I pressed record. My hands trembled so violently I almost dropped the phone. "Wasn't around?" I'd taken unpaid leave for 8 weeks, sleeping on Grandma's floor, changing her 4 bags, holding her hand through the morphine nightmares. "She's too trusting," my father's voice joined in. "Always has been. By the time she realizes what happened, it'll be too late." They laughed. All of them laughed. I couldn't breathe. The walls of my studio apartment seemed to close in as their voices continued plotting. My father, Raymond Baptiste, the deacon who never missed Sunday service, was orchestrating this. "Remember, we stick to the story," Dad said. "Karen abandoned Helen. We were the ones providing care. We have witnesses." "Who?" Royce asked. "Cousin Jeanette, Aunt Pauline. They'll say whatever we need. Karen was always Mama's favorite, but blood runs thicker when money's involved." The word favorite hit me like a slap. Favorite? Grandma Helen was the only person who'd helped me through nursing school when everyone else called it a waste. She was there when my ex-fiancé Devin emptied our joint account and disappeared. She'd been my refuge. Selma's voice turned vicious. "She walks around acting so superior with her scrubs and her saving lives. Meanwhile, we're struggling. Royce got laid off. I've got 3 kids. What does Karen have? A 1-bedroom apartment and student loans. The life insurance alone is $150,000, Mom added. Split 3 ways, that's 50 grand each. Enough to change our situations completely." My vision blurred with tears. The recording timestamp read 7:34. I needed all of it. Every single word. "What if she fights it?" Royce asked. Dad's response was cold. "Let her. Lawyers cost money she doesn't have. We'll drag it out until she breaks. I know my daughter. She'll choose peace over conflict. She always does." They didn't know me at all. The call continued for 47 minutes. 47 minutes of my family dissecting how to rob me of everything Grandma Helen had worked for. I listened to them assign roles like actors in a heist movie. Mom would cry at the estate meeting, playing the devastated daughter who'd sacrificed everything. Selma would bring her kids, using them as props for sympathy. Royce would present himself as the responsible son who'd managed Grandma's affairs. A complete fabrication. "What about the jewelry?" Mom asked. "That diamond necklace alone is worth $8,000. Already took it," Selma said casually. "Grabbed it during the funeral reception." Got the pearls too. My grandmother's pearls. The ones she'd promised me since I was 7, telling me they'd been her mother's and her mother's before that. For generations now stolen. Smart girl, Dad praised. The will mentions jewelry going to Karen, but if it's gone, it's gone. Can't inherit what doesn't exist. Something inside me cracked. Not broke, transformed. The Karen who avoided confrontation, who played peacemaker at every family gathering, who loaned Royce $2,000 last year that he never repaid, died in that moment. A new version emerged. Colder. Sharper. Done. The call finally ended when Royce picked up his phone, cursing about the battery drain. I sat in darkness, the recording saved in 3 different places. My phone, iCloud, and Google Drive. Then I called Grandma's lawyer, Hilda Boyd. Voicemail. Miss Boyd, this is Karen Baptiste. I need an emergency meeting before Friday. I have evidence of estate fraud. Hilda Boyd's office smelled like leather and old books, the kind of place that demanded truth. Wednesday morning I'd called in sick to work. First time in 2 years. My supervisor heard something in my voice and didn't question it. Miss Boyd was 60, sharp-eyed, with silver hair pulled into a tight bun. She'd been Grandma's lawyer for 30 years. I handed her my phone with shaking hands. Before you play this, I said, you need to know these are people I've loved my entire life. She nodded, expression neutral. Estate disputes bring out the worst in people, Ms. Baptiste. I've seen siblings become enemies over furniture. She pressed play. I watched her face transform as she listened. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes narrowed. When Royce suggested forging documents, she actually gasped. 47 minutes later, she set the phone down carefully as if it might explode. This is... She paused, choosing words carefully. This is the most clear-cut case of conspiracy to commit fraud I've encountered in my career. They've handed us everything. Intent, method, conspiracy. Your brother's a fool. What happens now? My voice sounded hollow. Now we prepare for war. She opened her laptop, fingers flying across the keyboard. The estate meeting is Friday at 2 p.m. We'll let them walk in believing they've won. Then we'll destroy them. She looked at me with something like respect. Your grandmother chose wisely. She told me you had a spine of steel under all that sweetness. She said, when Karen finally gets angry, heaven help whoever caused it. Miss Boyd pulled up Grandma's will on her computer. Let me show you what they're trying to steal. The numbers made my head spin. The house, $340,000 left entirely to me. Life insurance, $150,000, to be split equally among her 4 grandchildren, me, Royce, Selma, and my cousin Bria, who nobody had mentioned in their scheming. Investment accounts, $89,000. Jewelry appraised at $24,000. Her car, a 2019 Camry with only 15,000 miles. Her savings account, $47,000. Total estate value, approximately $675,000, Ms. Boyd said. Your grandmother was a careful woman. She owned that house outright, saved religiously, invested wisely. I remembered Grandma's tiny kitchen, how she'd clip coupons for hours. The way she'd wear the same church dress for 5 years. She'd been rich and lived like she was poor, all to leave us something. Why did she leave the house to only me? I asked. Miss Boyd's expression softened. She amended the will 8 months before she passed. Said you were the only one who visited without asking for money. The only one who called just to talk. She was explicit. Karen is to have the house. The others have shown their true colors. 8 months ago. Before she got sick. This wasn't dementia or confusion. This was calculated love. She also left you a letter, Miss Boyd said, handing me an envelope. She made me promise to give it to you after reading the will, but given the circumstances. My grandmother's handwriting covered the page. My sweet Karen, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Don't you dare cry too long. I lived a good life. I couldn't read it there. Miss Boyd gave me privacy stepping out of her office. My grandmother's cursive was shaky but deliberate, each word chosen with care. My sweet Karen, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Don't you dare cry too long. I lived a good life and I'm ready to see your grandfather again. I'm leaving you the house because you're the only one who understands what home means. Not an investment or an asset, but a place where love lives. You sat with me every Sunday after church, not because you wanted something, but because you wanted me. Your daddy will be angry. He's always seen you as too soft, too giving. He thinks compassion is weakness. Prove him wrong, baby. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is protect what matters. Your mama will cry and make you feel guilty. Remember, guilt is manipulation wearing a mask of love. Real love doesn't demand you destroy yourself to prove loyalty. Royce and Selma will say I wasn't in my right mind. I'm writing this on January 15, 2024, sharp as a tack, with Miss Boyd as my witness. I know exactly what I'm doing. That house is your foundation. Sell it, keep it, rent it, whatever helps you build the life you deserve. The one where you don't shrink yourself to make others comfortable. I love you fiercer than Georgia heat. Be fierce back. Love, Grandma Helen. My tears fell on the paper, smudging the ink. Miss Boyd returned with tissues and a glass of water. She knew, I whispered. She knew they'd try this. She suspected, Miss Boyd corrected. That's why she video recorded the will signing, had a full mental competency evaluation, and documented everything. Your grandmother prepared for war. Thursday morning, Miss Boyd called with instructions. We need to document everything they've already stolen. The jewelry particularly. Can you access your grandmother's house? I have a key. But if they see me there, they won't. Your father's at work until 5. Your mother has her book club on Thursday afternoons. I checked their social media. I felt like I was in a spy movie. At 2 p.m. I stood outside Grandma's house on Pinewood Avenue, the yellow door she'd repainted every spring looking faded now. Inside smelled like her, lavender and vanilla mixed with something medicinal that made my chest ache. The jewelry box sat on her dresser, exactly where it had been for 40 years. Every piece gone. The pearls, the diamond necklace, her wedding rings, even the cheap costume jewelry she'd worn to church. I photographed everything. The empty box. The dust patterns where pieces had been. The lock that had been forced open. Then I searched the house. That's when I found them. Documents scattered in her office. Medical bills in Royce's handwriting showing inflated care costs. Receipts for equipment never purchased. They'd been planning this for months, billing Grandma's accounts for fake expenses. One receipt made me sick. $4,500 for a hospital bed rental. I'd bought that bed with my own money. Amazon receipt still in my email for $900. Miss Boyd was right. They were stupid. So stupid they'd left a paper trail. I photographed 47 documents before leaving. As I locked the door, a car pulled up. Aunt Pauline. Karen, what are you doing here? Saying goodbye, I lied smoothly. One last time alone. She studied me with shrewd eyes. You doing okay, baby? You look tired. I'm tired, Auntie. So very tired. Thursday night I couldn't sleep. My phone kept lighting up with family messages in our group chat. The one I'd muted weeks ago but couldn't bring myself to leave. Royce, tomorrow's the big day. Let's get this estate settled so we can all move forward. Mom, Karen honey, please don't make this difficult. Grandma would want us to stay together as a family. Selma, we're all grieving. Let's just sign the papers and heal. Dad, family meeting at 1 p.m. before the lawyer. Be there. I typed and deleted responses a dozen times. Finally settled on, I'll be at the estate meeting at 2 p.m. as scheduled. Royce, we need to talk first. All of us. I'll see you at 2 p.m. My phone rang. Dad's name flashed. I let it go to voicemail. He called 4 more times. Then Mom called. Then Selma. The voicemails were masterpieces of manipulation. Dad's, stern, demanding obedience. Mom's, weeping, begging me not to tear the family apart. Selma's, angry, accusing me of being selfish. Not one of them asked how I was doing. Not one mentioned grief or loss. Just demands and blame. I saved every voicemail, every text message. Evidence of their desperation. At midnight, my cousin Bria called. We'd been close as kids, drifted apart as adults. Karen, girl, what's happening? Royce called asking if I'd sign over my part of the inheritance to help with family legal fees. My blood boiled. Don't sign anything, Bria. Nothing. Do you trust me? Silence. Then, yeah, I do. Royce sounded weird anyway, too pushy. Come to the estate meeting tomorrow. 2 p.m. Ms. Boyd's office. This is about to be messy, isn't it? Catastrophically. Friday, 1:47 p.m. I arrived early wearing Grandma's pearl earrings, the one piece of jewelry I'd taken after the funeral, small enough that no one noticed. My armor. Ms. Boyd's conference room could seat 12. She'd arranged it deliberately, her at the head, me to her right, for empty chairs on the left for my family. Ready? She asked. I touched the earrings. Let's honor her. At 1:58 p.m. they arrived together. One unit, one front. Dad in his Sunday suit. Mom in black, eyes already red from strategic crying. Royce looking smug. Selma wouldn't meet my gaze. Karen. Mom rushed over for a hug. I stepped back. Her face crumpled with practiced hurt. Let's sit, I said coldly. Dad's eyes narrowed. He'd heard something in my tone. Something new. Something dangerous. They sat across from us, a wall of Baptiste solidarity. Royce pulled out a folder, pre-printed documents visible inside. So confident. So prepared. Ms. Boyd opened her laptop calmly. Thank you all for coming. Before we begin the official reading of Helen Baptiste's will, I need to address some concerns that have come to my attention. Concerns. Dad's voice carried warning. What concerns? Concerns about estate fraud, theft, and conspiracy to deprive a rightful heir of her inheritance. The room went silent. Absolutely silent. Mom's fake tears stopped. Royce's smug expression vanished. Selma grabbed the table edge, knuckles white. Dad's jaw clenched so hard I heard his teeth grind. I don't know what, he started. Ms. Boyd pressed play on her computer. Royce's voice filled the room. Karen thinks she's getting everything. Grandma was losing it at the end. That will ain't valid. Their faces drained of color. All of them. For 47 minutes they sat frozen while their own voices detailed their crime. Mom tried to leave twice. Miss Boyd blocked the door, her petite frame suddenly imposing. You'll stay until the end. Just as Karen did when she received this call. Royce looked sick. Literally green. When his voice on the recording suggested forging documents, he actually gagged. Selma cried, real tears this time. Not manipulation but fear. Karen, please, I didn't mean. You took Grandma's pearls during her funeral reception, I said, my voice ice. You admitted it on that recording. While I was greeting mourners and trying not to collapse from grief, you were robbing her corpse. Mom found her voice. You're taking this out of context. We were just talking, blowing off steam. We never would have. You already did, Miss Boyd interrupted. We've documented the theft of jewelry valued at $24,000. We have photographs of the forced lock. We have receipts for fraudulent medical expenses totaling $31,400. We have your plan to forge executor documents. She placed a stack of papers on the table. Crime scene photos, financial records, the works. Dad finally looked at me. Really looked. You'd destroy your family over money? Something in me snapped. You'd rob your daughter because you think she's weak. You said I always choose peace over conflict. You were wrong, Daddy. I choose justice over complicity. We're your blood. Mom shrieked. Blood means nothing when it's used as a weapon. Grandma taught me that. He knew. She knew exactly who you all were. Miss Boyd continued, you have two options. Option 1. Karen presses charges. Criminal fraud, conspiracy, theft. You're looking at felony convictions, prison time. Option 2. You sign an agreement. What agreement? Royce whispered. You forfeit any claim to the estate. You return every stolen item. You never contact Karen again. In exchange, she won't prosecute. That's not, Dad started. Fair. I laughed bitterly. You plan to steal $675,000 from me and you want to talk about fair? Silence stretched like taffy, thick and sickening. They looked at each other, a family unit fracturing in real time. Royce broke first. We can't go to prison. I have a record already. That DUI from 2019. They'd throw the book at me. Shut up, Royce. Dad hissed, but it was too late. Miss Boyd smiled coldly. Thank you for that additional information. First-time felony fraud. Up to 5 years. With priors. Aggravating circumstances. 10 years easily. Selma sobbed into her hands. My kids. My babies. I can't lose my kids. You should have thought about that, I said, before you stole from your dying grandmother. Mom tried one last manipulation. Karen, honey, please. We raised you. We loved you. You can't just erase that. You erased it, I replied quietly, when you laughed about stealing from me. When Daddy said I'd choose peace because I'm weak. When you planned to use my grief against me. I stood, walked around the table and looked each of them in the eye. Royce, you owe me $2,000 from 2 years ago. Remember? When your rent was late and I emptied my savings account. You swore you'd pay me back. He couldn't meet my gaze. Selma, when Devon left me, you called me stupid for trusting him. Said I deserved it for being naive. Then you asked to borrow money for your daughter's birthday party. She cried harder. Mom, Dad, when I was working doubles at the hospital to afford nursing school, you told family I was too proud to accept help. But you never offered help. You offered judgment. Dad's face flushed with anger, or shame, I couldn't tell. Grandma was the only one who showed up. Every single time. And you want to steal what she left me because you think I won't fight back. Miss Boyd placed contracts on the table. Sign or I file charges in 1 hour. Choose. They signed. One by one, shaking hands, clutching pens, they signed away their claims. The room felt like a funeral, maybe it was. The death of our family. Royce signed first, defeated. Selma second, still crying. Mom third, each stroke of the pen accompanied by a dramatic sigh. Dad signed last, his signature an angry slash across the page. The jewelry, Miss Boyd said. You have 48 hours to return every piece. We have photos and a detailed inventory. Fine, Selma whispered. The fraudulent receipts. Royce, you'll need to reimburse the estate $31,400. Payment plan acceptable, but defaulting means immediate prosecution. His face crumbled. I don't have that kind of money. Then get it. Sell your car. Get a loan. I don't care. You stole it, you'll repay it. Miss Boyd collected the contracts, notarized them, and locked them in her safe. You're dismissed. Karen and I have the actual will reading to conduct. They stood slowly, defeated soldiers. At the door, Dad turned. You'll regret this. Family is everything. No, I said firmly. Family should be everything. You made it nothing. And yes, I'll regret this. I'll regret that you forced me to choose between my dignity and your comfort. But I'll survive that regret. Will you survive knowing your daughter was stronger than you believed? He left without answering. They all did. The door closed on 32 years of history. Miss Boyd waited a moment, then smiled. Your grandmother would be proud. Now let's get to the good part. She opened the official will. Everything was mine. The house, the investments, Grandma's savings, the car. Bria got her share of the life insurance as specified. The rest belonged to me. One more thing, Miss Boyd said, handing me a key. Safety deposit box. Your grandmother left it for you specifically. Saturday morning, Miss Boyd met me at First National Bank. The vault was cold, sterile, the kind of place where secrets lived. Box 447 was small, unassuming. Inside, more letters, each dated, each labeled. Read when you doubt yourself. Read when you miss them. Read when you're afraid. And jewelry. Not the stolen pieces, different ones. Hidden. A diamond tennis bracelet, emerald earrings, a sapphire ring. A note attached. Your real inheritance. I hid these years ago, knowing they'd come for the obvious pieces. These were my mother's. Now they're yours. Sell them if you need to, keep them if you want to. Just know they're given with love, not obligation. The bracelet alone was worth $15,000. She'd protected them. Protected me. The last letter was dated 3 days before she died. Karen, if you're reading this, you've won. Not because you have money or jewelry or property, but because you stood up. I'm so sorry I put you in this position, baby. But I knew you could handle it. You've always been stronger than you believed. Your family will hate you for a while. Maybe forever. Let them. Their love was always conditional anyway. Conditional on your compliance, your silence, your sacrifice. You deserve better. Build a life that makes you proud. Find people who love you without requiring you to diminish yourself. And remember, I'm always with you. In the house you'll make a home. In the strength you've discovered. In the woman you've become. I love you beyond measure. Now go live. Grandma Helen. I stood in that cold vault and cried. Not grief tears, freedom tears. Miss Boyd handed me tissues without comment. What happens now? Asked finally. Now you live. You honor her memory by being happy. I left the bank with a safety deposit box full of treasures and a heart full of resolve. My phone buzzed. Blocked numbers, probably family. I didn't check. Instead, I drove to Grandma's house. My house. The yellow door needed repainting. I'd do it in spring. Lavender, maybe. Something new. Inside, I stood in her living room and felt her presence. Not haunting, comforting. She'd given me more than money. She'd given me permission to be strong. 3 months later, Royce paid back the first installment, $500. Selma returned the jewelry, piece by piece, mailed in padded envelopes with no return address. Mom and Dad didn't attend my birthday. Cousin Bria did though. We're rebuilding what they broke. I still work at the hospital, but now I'm saving for my nurse practitioner degree. The house is rented, stable income, smart investment. And sometimes late at night I sit on Grandma's porch and talk to her. I tell her about my life, my plans, my victories. And in the Georgia heat, in the way the wind moves through the trees, I swear I hear her laughing. Proud, fierce, and free. Just like she taught me to be.